was working on television.
Emmy nominated.
And I had a negative 105 bank account. TV is not like social media. I made last month $25,000. Everyone should be getting paid for their influence.
What's going on over here?
Oh, my husband did not like that picture.
Are you ready? Hi there, I'm Robbie and you're watching or listening to the Lost Creator Podcast, a show where we interview some of the most unique and influential people in the content creation world in the hopes of inspiring you to escape the 9-to-5 and live out your dreams. And on today's show, we're joined by someone who did live out one of their dreams of being an actor and host on TV, but who then turned to influencing after realizing the true force of social media. From the power of manifestation through to the true costs of the broadcasting industry to now having over 3 million followers across all platforms and being able to make nearly $50,000 a month. All of this and more to come. Now, you may recognize her from one of our previous episodes featuring the Travelers Epic family, but we are joined by none other than Evi Siskos.
What's up?
What is up? I mean...
Roberto.
I mean, to say I'm honored to have you here again is an understatement. I mean, for people who might not know this, you are an Emmy-nominated TV show host for some of the shows that you did on the Telemundo ads. Some people might know her from the Neutrogena ads.
Neutrogena
commercials. You were also a co-host on a radio show called Nip Tuck with celebrity surgeon Dr.
Greenberg. Yeah, that was like my very beginnings. I began actually in radio before I got to television. Yeah,
amazing.
Oh my God, you did some digging down. You did some research there.
I tried to do my best to try and remember them right now as well, but thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming back. Coming back from all those crazy travels that you've been
Yes.
The 14 different countries you went. How's it been?
It's been amazing, you know. All the countries. You know, sometimes you dream about doing something in life. You dream about, you know, getting out to the world and going to see the world. And then it happens. And then it comes true. And now I'm living it. And I'm here in Bali connecting with people like you, connecting with other content creators, connecting with people that are really, I think, revolutionizing social media. Yeah. And it's amazing because, like you said, I come from television, so it's a different world, but it's a much better one.
It's a better one.
Yeah.
And it must be obviously an interesting transition as well because there's so much transferable skills.
Yeah, right? There definitely is. So the transition for me, for example, I started television back in 2012 when Instagram was just beginning. And I remember when Instagram was starting to come up, I remember telling my producers, like, shouldn't we be focused on social media? Like, I'm like, this is fun. Like, I want to put like my content on here and like, you know, and I would post like, you know, like all my pictures and videos and stuff like that. But the national networks were not giving it the importance that it has today because they didn't see it as competition. Like, you're on TV. You know, like there's no going. There's no competition. There's no competition.
Yeah.
And then slowly you saw that transition, and I saw it. Like I lived the transition of going from television to social media, and it's beautiful. It's different. I think it's more authentic, and I think that we definitely hold the power in our hands to be able to create the life that we want. And yeah, I think we have the power these days to Absolutely. Be able to do whatever we want with it.
That's a great little intro for our audiences. Before we kind of delve deeper into any of this, I'd love to know, can I offer you a drink at all? We've got a bar, as you know, from being here last time. I'd love to offer you anything at all from our little cheeky bar. I think I might have a whiskey.
Do you have another sparkling water? No. I'll do sparkling. I'll do just water. Actually, no. You know what? I'll be good for now. I'm good for now. Yeah.
Hold back.
Yeah.
Hold back on the drinks. Obviously, the Irishman gonna enjoy a little bit of whiskey. Did you know? In Ireland, whiskey is Ishkabaha, which directly translates to the water of life. Ishkabaha, yeah. Ishkabaha. Water of life, which is surprising because I feel so little life after a night of drinking it.
Yeah, that's it. It almost sounds like it. What language does that derive from? It almost sounds like Arabic.
It's Celtic.
Celtic, really?
Yeah.
wow.
Do you try
Okay,
a little
you
bit
learned.
of Irish whiskey?
No, I'm good.
No,
Thank
good?
you.
Oh, good. No
I'm
worries.
good.
Okay, awesome stuff. So take us actually. Well, so I mentioned Dr. Greenberg and
Yes.
your kind of startings, your the kind of roots there. But
So
take us back. Take us back. Your background is
let's
it
go
your
way
let's go way back. Your background. You're half Greek, half Dominican Republic.
Yes, I'm half Dominican. Yeah.
So Evie is a nickname.
Evie
Sorry,
is
Evie is a nickname.
Evie.
So I was getting it right.
Yes,
every
Evie.
single
Yeah, you
time.
got it right the whole time.
The whole time.
Um,
But Evie is
so
short.
Evie
for,
is my short name.
Short name.
I mean, it's my name. It's what I go for. But my full name is Evdoxia, and unless you're Greek or you can pronounce that accent, it's very hard for some people. So I remember I didn't know what my name was till like third grade, like my full name. Everyone always just called me Evie.
Evie, yeah.
Yeah, and you want to try to pronounce it?
I want to go for it. You should have give
Evdoxia.
Evdoxia.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah?
Look at that. Yeah,
Hey!
look at that. Yay!
Evdoxia.
Evdoxia.
Do you prefer Evdoxia or Evie at this point?
Evie, like yeah.
this point,
It's just
Evie.
Evie, yeah.
become-
Like I said, I didn't know my name till I was like in third grade. I mean, now I am proud of my name because it's Greek and I love the Greek culture. I love being Greek. It's my grandma's name also. Usually in Greece, people name their kids after their parents,
Yeah.
so it's like an honor to be able to be called after your grandparent. But Evie is much easier. People get that wrong all the time. So I mean, I try to tell them to say Evdoxia. That will be
Evdoxia.
yeah. I mean, you could say it, but people will like
Yeah,
butcher
yeah.
it and say Eudoxia, Vidoxia, Doxy. Like people are like, it sounds like, I remember when like anthrax came out, they're like, oh my God, your name like sounds like a virus. I'm like, thank you.
Well, I mean, as we mentioned, my name is Roberto. I go by Robbie, and if I go to Spain, people call me Robin. Robin.
Robin William.
Robin William. Yes.
Wait, no, but can we say your full name? Because your full name is pretty good. Roberto de Lara Corona La Fos.
De Fons.
De Fons.
De Fons. Beautiful.
Almost got it. De
Roberto de
Fons.
Lara Corona de Fons.
Roberto de Lara Corona de Fons.
Yeah.
You see it? It sounds like a telenovela.
Yeah. Luckily, not like a disease.
Yes.
Although Corona is in there.
Yeah. True.
But I like to reference it as the beer instead.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So take us back to Dr. Greenberg, your startings in the content, in the media world.
In media world.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay, so
what got you into wanting to be or pursue that career?
I always wanted to be an actress as a
Mm.
little girl. So I was always like like I was a thespian in high school. I always wanted to get into that world, but getting into television.
Drama kid.
Yes, like I was like a drama geek. And I wanted, I wanted to get into television, but during that, like getting into TV, it's not like your phone that you can actually like create your content with. Getting into television was like this thing, like you have to get into, like it's like impossible. So when I would say it, it was almost like Evie, like my dad, like everyone was like, that's impossible. Like there's no way that you can get into television. I was like, so I went to college and I was studying international business. I did a concentration in Mandarin, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to do the next best thing that I'm good at, which is languages. So I was like, I'm going to study international business and I don't know, I'm going to like do some business.
Yeah.
And my last semester of college, I participated in Miss Dominican Republic and I placed as a finalist. But the thing with Miss Dominican Republic is that it's such a small country that media creates, like we were invited to TV shows, we were making commercials and all of this stuff. And I was like, I can't believe I'm not pursuing what I love. And my last semester of college, I started auditioning. And I remember I went into an audition, it was in English. And the guys there were like the casting director was like, do you speak Spanish at all? Like, and I was like, yeah, I do, I'm fluent. He's like, okay. The next day they're like, you're booked. You're going to be doing the commercial. It was like paying like $100. You're going to be filming it in English. And then you're going to do a second commercial and it's going to be in Spanish. And I was
Same
like,
commercial.
yeah, same commercial,
yeah.
just like, for 2 different markets.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, I booked the commercial. And then I was like, then I get to set. There's a woman playing my mom, a guy playing my brother. We shoot the commercial in English. Great. Then we go to shoot it in Spanish, and it turns out that they lied. They didn't speak Spanish because the audition was in English, and the guys had no idea that they didn't speak Spanish.
Yeah, and then they get us in the audition room. Oh, do you speak Spanish? And they're like,
Yeah,
yes.
they're like fluent. And
Yes,
then like when
I
they
speak
gave
it.
them the script, it was like a commercial on like, like those like infomercials that are like on credit, like car credit, like get your credit today. And so they're reading, like they get the script and they're like, oh no, like we just studied Spanish in high school. So the guy's like,
Hola,
yeah,
mi
they're
nombre es.
literally. So they're like, can you do the full commercial? And I was like, yeah. And like literally like they're in the background just like waving. And I'm like, get your credit. I was like, my mom got credit. You can get it too. And so
Played every single part in one.
yeah. So I literally played every part. And the woman that was there, she was like, have you ever thought about working in Spanish television? I was like, no. I was like, I want to be like on American television. I want to be like an American actress. And she's like, you're really good. And I was like, yeah, no, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do that. And she was like, you're really good. I worked for Telemundo for many years. I think she was there for like 20 years or something. She's like, I'm going to refer you to the channel. And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do it. And then literally like 2 days later, I got a call from the channel. They're like, we're having auditions. You were referred by so-and-so. Can you please come to the studios? The studios were a block away from my parents' house. So it was like,
Convenience.
yeah, it was literally like, yeah. So my last semester of college, I ended up booking that first segment, which was I don't know if you know what Goya Foods is. It's an American
Goya
like
Foods?
Spanish. Yeah, it's like Spanish foods in America, like canned foods. So I was doing their segments in the morning show. Literally like a few weeks into me doing like my little cooking segments, the main host got switched over to doing news, and I got a call. They're like, can you come in tomorrow to fill in, the gig to do the morning show, which is an entertainment show, live. It's live television at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. And I literally had no experience, like zero experience. They put like a kid on television. I mean, I was good, but I had no experience doing it. Now that I look back, I was like, what the hell? Like, how did that? I have no idea how that happened.
It will take you back to the first audition. It just goes to show sometimes it's not about booking the job necessarily. It's about booking the room, just meeting people and kind of like putting yourself out there, networking, the importance of
Yes,
like
that's why
networking.
Social media, you can do that
Yeah,
too on social media. And it's so different. Like I said, with TV, it was, this unattainable thing that I happened to be that right person at the right time with the talent, because I think that there's always 3 elements that people need to possess when an opportunity arises. And that happened, but television at the time was something so unattainable.
Arguably, still today. I mean,
Yes.
people can, with social media, probably bump themselves up
Yes,
into that, but
that's
it's
the
that
thing.
stratosphere, but it's not, it's still a tough industry. It's very competitive.
It is, but I do see every single day there are influencers that get to mega status because of their talents on social media. So it's not, what I'm saying is like, you can blow up these days without having to go through like the audition process and like, like knocking on so many doors to be able to book a commercial. You know what I mean? So it's changed a lot.
Yeah. So then you started working as a host on this morning TV show.
Yes.
And then this is roughly around the time that Instagram started coming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was 2012. Literally, like I started the little cooking segments, and like a month later, I was the main host of a morning talk show. It's all in Spanish.
Emmy nominated.
Yes.
Emmy nominated.
So actually, I have a funny story about that.
Go ahead.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is why I always tell people, whenever you want something in life, write it down. Put it down on a vision board if you believe in that, or, like speak it into existence. Because I was always a firm believer in having, my vision board and putting everything that I wanted to come into reality there. The day before the Emmy submissions, because you do have to submit your work, and this is the Emmy Awards have different not segments, but it's like they have like the New York Emmy. So this is like the New York Emmys, the ones that I got nominated for. That day I was like renewing my vision board, and
How often do you update your vision board?
well, now I just do things through my phone, but back then it was like I would take my big piece of paper and like my cardboard, and I got like my magazine, and I would get like the SAG-AFTRA, like the union for actors, like magazine delivered to my house, And I like literally cut up my Emmy nominee, like the award, and I cut it and I was like, I'm going to put it here. But it was such a like nonchalant thing. Like I was like, one day I'm going to have this. And the next day, I kid you not, my producer calls me. He's like, Evi, did you submit your work for consideration in the New York Emmy Awards? And are you serious? I was like, I just did this yesterday. I was like, no, I haven't, but like I'll put my work together and like, whatever. And a month later, I think it was the nominations came out and I was nominated for an Emmy, which was insane. And that just comes to show you, I always say, if there is something that you want to attain in life, write it down, envision it, and put in the action.
The power of manifestation.
Yeah.
I similarly also experienced something like this. I was in Singapore. I felt very much like I was in a rut there, and I really kind of needed to get out. It was during COVID. They're a very strict country, and I didn't feel like I was fulfilling what I had set myself out to go out there and do. And my mum spoke to me. I'm very close to my mum. She said, Roberto, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, in 5 years, she said, don't give me a bullshit answer because, I'm your mum. This isn't like a job application. And I said, in 5 years, I'd really like to see myself being back in the freelance environment of work with media production. And ideally, I'd like to see myself being able to travel because I've never done that for myself. I've never been able to travel. And I kid you not, like 4 or 5 days later, I got a call from Christian saying, hey, do you fancy traveling the world and making content whilst you're at it? And I was like, yeah.
You see?
You got to manifest it. You got to ask for it. You got to ask the universe for it.
And surrender. I also think that that's a big one because so many things in life where I've said like, this is what I want. And it's just literally like surrendering to it, not even like really thinking about it. Like, it's going to happen because it has to happen. Not like because I have to force it. It just is. And it does happen. Yeah. So I've not seen
always
that.
Necessarily asking for something specific, but saying, I am open to receiving opportunities.
Yes.
And in whatever shape or form they might come in, because that will always lead you to, because I'm sure when you went in for this infomercial commercial, you probably weren't thinking that you're going to be Emmy nominated for a TV show.
All. I had no idea. Like I got paid $100 for 2 commercials. Like, that's like unheard of, like I basically got $50 to record a commercial that probably made them, thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Pennies.
Yeah, exactly. And I had no idea. That's why like I always say like no job is too small. Because it's like Shakespeare, there's no part that's too small.
Yeah. There's no small parts, only small actors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, because you never know. And I think going back to the whole social media realm, social media, even though like there's, millions of people on social media connected, it does make the world smaller. You can connect with people in an instant in a way that people couldn't connect, back in the day. They couldn't do that. And now you can, and now you have the power in your hands to be able to create, and create the life that you want to create through your phone.
Yep. And so for those of you that don't know, Evi now is obviously stepped away from being in front of the cameras of the film and media production sort of broadcast, shall we say, and is a full-fledged influencer with 107,000 followers on Instagram and 2.5 million followers on Facebook.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is absolutely amazing. That's amazing. And especially also because Facebook, generally speaking, especially for a lot of content creators that are trying to start getting out there a little bit, they do look at YouTube, they do look at Instagram as kind of the main
and they forget about Facebook.
And they forget about Facebook.
I love Facebook.
Facebook, it's a bit more of an underrated one. Why do you think that might be? Why do you think people tend to kind of...
It's a different demographic. It's definitely more worldwide. I think there's an older demographic as well on Facebook, but if you're looking into branding power and monetization power, there's so much power on Facebook when it comes to making money. So I think that people, they just don't know, and I didn't know. It wasn't until I started to travel and I really got into the whole aspect of being an influencer and being a content creator and working with brands that a lot of the brands were like, can you post this on your Facebook? And I was like, you want me to post this on, I was like, really? You want me to really post this on Facebook? And they're like, yes, please. And then they started to, like a lot of the brands were like, no, our demographic, that has the buying power is on Facebook. And like, we have a lot of people that, that connect with us through Facebook. And there's like this like loyalty thing with Facebook and everything, and communities on Facebook. Like there's just so much more in depth that I had no idea. So now I'm like a really big advocate for Facebook because it really, really helps also the content creator to grow. It's easier to grow.
It's a little bit easier to grow. I mean, YouTube, you have subscribers, but a lot of the times it could end up being this person who is like user 96 whatever. Like it could be, you can hide a little bit behind some sort of accounts. Instagram, you have followers. There is a bit more there can be a little bit of a faster engagement level there, maybe because it's just a little bit more split up between your messaging and your posting of your photographs. But Facebook it's your friends. Like that's kind of the idea behind where Facebook started.
And that's why it's easier to grow. And I always tell content creators, if you're looking to grow, growing on Facebook is amazing, because let's say you have, and this is like a visual, I'm going to do like a little visual so you guys can understand. So Facebook, let's say you have 300 friends. Like everyone has like at least 100 friends on Facebook, if not more. So let's say this is your post and you post it on Facebook, and then these are like your, I don't know, 5 friends, right? Let's say 5 friends. These 5 friends, let's say you ask one of your friends, can you reshare this? On Facebook, it's really easy to reshare. It's not like Instagram where like, unless you share it on your story, you can't repost it onto your feed.
Yeah.
On Facebook, you are actually posting it onto your feed. So what it does is like, this person here reposts it and it goes like that. So it becomes like a little like spider web.
A little pyramid scheme.
Yes, like you're like, yeah. So it literally works like that. And then next thing you know, you have a lot of followers on Facebook. Yeah. So Facebook is amazing. And I think it's a great platform that supports the content creator, which is crazy because it's like Meta and it's still Instagram, but it supports the content creator a lot.
Yeah. And also you don't have to share links as well. I think there's something about link sharing on Facebook which it doesn't tend to love. Like I think there was always a time where you'd share a link and now it kind of pops down as this thing that you can click, but sometimes it didn't.
But that's like every app. They don't want you sharing outside. They don't want you coming out. Yeah, they want you like on that there. Platform. Yeah.
So at what point so you were still working at Telemundo when you started posting on?
Yeah, so it was always hand in hand, creating. It wasn't really creating content. It was literally like whatever work I did. Like if I did an interview, if I was interviewing a celebrity or whatnot, their picture, I would just post it on my page because it was whatever I did. At the time there were no reels or like videos wasn't like so big. It was just your pictures. So I would just post whatever I did that day. So that's how that started. But then it started to change. And I think the pandemic was the pivotal moment for myself. Because when the pandemic hit, my show got canceled. Auditions were like, because I would also not just do television, but I would also audition for commercial work and voiceover work. So everything was closed. There was nothing open. Like you could not attend an in-person audition. Yeah. Everything was through your phone.
Like doing the self-tapes.
Yeah. So we started doing like self-tapes and whatnot.
But even then, even with self-tapes, I'm sure the amount of stuff going out was a little bit more reduced because obviously productions were at a halt.
Yeah, no.
Like, everything was on standstill. So
that's when like I think the advantage came in, because companies were like, can you record the commercial at home for us? And I was like, absolute. Like, I come from television. So like, I know how to produce commercials and I know how to do this. So I started producing content, which was different because TV is not like social media. In social media, the influencer strives from being authentic, from being, personal with their audience. Television, it's like you don't really know who the person on TV is. You don't really know who these celebrities are. You don't know who a TV host is. You don't know them.
Yeah, you're only kind of getting a very two-dimensional.
Yeah, which is funny because now that you see even like a lot of celebrities, when you see them on social media and you start to really see who they are, and like you start to see they're like, wow, their persona on TV is so different from like who they really are.
Yeah.
So it was very different. So it was a learning curve for me, even though like I do come. I have the experience when it comes to like production and how to like produce a commercial or a segment. doing the transition was very different for me as a person to be able to, not have a script and just like connect with my followers and like talk like how I talk, as opposed to like being a personality that everything is more produced,
Yeah.
so it's a little different.
Did it feel scary to begin with? Is that something that kind of, because I think a lot of people, what tends to happen, a lot of people get very frightened to start their accounts, to start doing anything on social media because of this kind of initial fear of like, how will people perceive me?
Absolutely. Yes.
so-
It was hard for me. Like, and I come from, like, I can speak, like, I'm like, I can talk. And then like, I would put and I was like, I would put the camera and I would sound like, it just did not read the same on social media than it did on TV.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to be able to just be myself. That was it. It wasn't even like, like doing anything else. It was just being me. And it took me a
Is
while.
there this kind of transition thing where people might be able to see on your social media of you kind of going from this personality that they might have known to being someone that was just a little bit more different or more yourself? Really?
Probably, yeah. Because I mean, you know what? It's funny because all my content as a TV host is in Spanish. It's not in English. So that was also, I'm native in Spanish and in English, but I, like I think in English.
And Greek.
Yeah, and Greek as
And-
well. And I studied Mandarin and I speak some French. Yeah, so that's why that's the whole thing with like international business. Like that's why languages is just, I grew up with it.
Yes.
Like I grew up with it. So it's like, it's a little different.
Circumstance
Yeah.
rather than like being this
Yes.
totally incredible person that's gone out there and just,
Yeah. So
but
like, so, oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
You're telling us about the persona that you were someone in talking in Spanish on.
Oh yeah, so I
and
was
then
talking in
transitioning.
Spanish, which is it's hard in it of itself because like you're reading words that are like 14 letters long and stuff, like these are like everything is like so much harder. But I got trained to speak in Spanish, not in English. So when I would turn on the camera to speak in English, it was almost like a different animal. Like I was like, "Oh my God, I'm like
When you say trained to speak, is in like that was at home the first language, or trained as in like
no,
you
in
were
television.
in television? Like they actually trained, like you actually.
Yeah, like that was my experience, was speaking in Spanish. Even though like I think in English, I went to school in like I'm American and I was born in America, but I was doing television in Spanish for such a long time that came natural to me.
Yeah.
English was like I was like, oh my God, I sound so weird. Like I'm like, this sounds like almost fake.
Yeah.
I don't sound like myself. So it took some figuring out. So that's why like if you're thinking about getting into content creation, just put yourself out there. Like everybody starts from somewhere and you do have to practice. Like it's everything takes practice. Even if like you have a natural talent and you like being in front of the camera, it does take some practice and just be yourself.
So at what point did it kind of feel there was a transition out of TV and then more into sort of full-time?
So
content
the
creation?
pandemic hit
Pandemic,
and everything got kind of canceled. Then I started working online and I started creating content and I started creating commercials for brands and doing like everything basically shifted online. And I was like, oh my God, I can do everything from my phone, from my house. Even voiceovers, which usually had to be recorded in a studio, I could do a voiceover. Like I recorded like Spotify from like my closet, like, and with like the directors like on my ear type of thing. So everything got shifted. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, I have the power in my hands. And then we started to travel. And by we, I mean me and my family.
Yes, of course. Al,
Yeah, which
a
you
few
guys
weeks ago.
saw. Yes.
Shout out to Al, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
babe. And my two babies, because I got Al and my little baby. So I started to see the power that I had in my hands. Like I was like, oh my God, like I don't have to like kill myself going to these auditions and like always like it was almost like this like hustle, but the compensation wasn't even like that great, like
Yeah.
people would think TV is paying like these like millions of dollars, but unless you are an A-list talent, that's like making the millions, you're not making millions. So so then I saw the potential in social media and I was like, I'm going full force in this.
Yeah.
And so
did you see, obviously with that transition, you're kind of looking at there's also the financial opportunity there. And for people kind of starting out in content creation, the biggest fear is like, well, not the biggest fear, the biggest question is always like, but how do I start making money? I want to start making money like right now. And if I'm not mistaken, you recently did an Instagram live where you kind of shared this
Yes.
your top tips, or you kind of did a little bit of a masterclass on how you'd made $47,000 in 1 month. I mean, you're probably
Yeah.
not going to be making that on TV.
No.
No.
No, unless like it was like no, no,
And,
no,
and
no,
some
no,
people
no, no,
might not even
never.
make that in a whole year. So I mean, I'd love to know, if obviously if you're happy to share some, what were
Yes.
like the kind of top tips that you'd have for someone kind of looking to get into content creation and
So
being able to monetize.
first of all, get started, get started. That's why it took me so much trial and error to try to put myself out there, but you just have to try putting yourself, like it's not like you're going to get the hang of it. And that's why like I decided to create the masterclass and the paid influencer academy, because a lot of people have the talent to create content and know how to create it. They just don't know how to put themselves out there and to who to put themselves out to.
Yeah.
So that's my number one, is you have to start putting yourself out there. Also see the content that you're creating, and literally everything is possible with social media, but truly also knowing your niche. Who are you serving? Because if you're all over the place and it's not really clear, you can go to a brand and be like, oh, I can create this for you. If it's not in alignment, it's not going to work. So I think it needs to be in alignment. And also, content creation is not just about what goes on your social media feed, because everybody thinks like, oh, I have to post this and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of content creation is like what you do on the back end as well for these brands, whether it is, like voiceovers, creating commercials that go only on the brand's page and not
Yeah.
on your own page.
Yeah.
So you do have to keep in mind, because some people are like, oh no, it's only on my page. I'm like, no, there's so many other ways to make income on social media that don't have to be
Content creator doesn't mean that you're the face of it. It means that you are
yes.
creating content, whether you're producing, whether you're taking photographs for a client, whether you're taking videos for a
So
client.
that's how that happened also with the pandemic. Companies were like, can you do this for me? Like, can you like do the content creation for me? And it wasn't necessarily me being on every single post or anything like that. It was mostly like like either products or like different ways. But yeah, so it's always like thinking outside of the box, not only just thinking, oh, I'm gonna make money with this brand through my
or I'm gonna
through
make
my
money
page.
by myself through just
Yes.
constantly posting. Like,
And
it's
then
about
another tip of mine is start local. People think that, oh, like I am going to start selling to Nike and to like all these big brands. Start local. A lot of the times, like these big brands hold these big budgets for big influencers, but if you are a micro influencers hold power. People sometimes like don't even realize that they're micro influencers themselves, because you have to think about it. Let's say you have even like 1,000 friends, and that's like that's starting out, right?
Yeah.
But let's say you have 5,000 friends. Those 5,000 friends, you could possibly work with a brand and tell them, listen, I have 5,000 friends that are more valuable than someone with 1 million followers whose followers are all over the place. But that's why you do have to be niched down. So brands can find you. But start local. Also see your niche. Let's say you are from a certain country or a certain community. See if you can serve your community. I think social media has pivoted a lot from like being like me to like serving the audience and the followers. So how can you be of service to even your community? And this way you can become a spokesperson for them, whether it's a community or let's say your country. Sometimes your country, you could become a big fish in a small pond, and that can create more income if you're looking to like in the financial aspect of social media. A big fish in a small pond is excellent. Yeah.
I mean, with a niche, we always say, I mean, obviously this isn't necessarily just with audience, but like what your topic or subject is that you're kind of exploring. But if you can count the amount of people that are doing what you're doing on one hand, you know that you're in a very safe space and that you can work with brands and that you become very approachable, very attractive for them, because you know that you have this very specific audience that they can work with.
Yes.
And that's their target demographic. You're basically saying to them, you don't have to go out and look for it. You don't have to put an advert on TV. showing it to millions in the hopes that the important 1,000 people that you're looking for, that you're really targeting this at, are
Right.
going to be able to see it. I've got those 1,000 people ready to go.
Exactly. So you don't have to be a mega influencer. You don't have to have 1 million followers
Yeah.
to start making money. Just, it's almost like, what can you grab with your net? Like, if you can grab it with your hands, then you can possibly start monetizing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And how have you found, I mean, obviously we talked about like the sharing ability and kind of being able to grow on Facebook, but do you find that it takes more work or less work than some of the other platforms? Obviously you kind of started out with Facebook, and it's kind of something, as soon as you kind of, they always say as well, you should kind of work with the platform that you know the best. The one you know the best
Right.
is the one that you're going to probably do the best in. So when you started branching out to other platforms, obviously you're still using them, but what is it about Facebook as well that kind of necessarily drew you to it and kind of still kept using it as growth?
I think the engagement on Facebook is just amazing. I feel like, because of the fact that Facebook works in a way where, like, it does throw you out to your followers and people actually see it. Engagement on, or like the algorithm, I should say, on Instagram works a little different. So Facebook, you almost feel like you're connected with your followers, even though, like, I have way more followers on Facebook than I do on Instagram.
Yeah.
I feel that connection with my followers. I'm always getting messages from them, and I love that connection. But also Facebook, the incentives that Facebook gives the content creator financially, like the aspects of
Money,
of monetization.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I actually shared on my social media, actually in the masterclass, just from Facebook and like the whole metaverse, I made last month $25,000. So yeah. So
you heard it here first.
so
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah. So that's why I tell everyone, like, don't overlook sometimes, like, the other platforms, because everyone is so focused on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think now, even like with TikTok, it's such an amazing platform as well, to be able to put yourself out there and to grow, because TikTok, like, really puts out the content creator, and it throws you out, to like random people and stuff. And so I think it's, and this is giving like a content creator advice: create your content outside of the platforms and then repurpose them to each platform.
Yeah. Obviously being mindful of how each of those platforms work and what
Yes,
kind of
also like what demographic
formatting.
you have,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
your, because I can tell you that from my 3 platforms, they're very different. Like, my followers are very different, and my content's very different. So my TikTok, I have a lot of like Spanish content. So like I do like, like funny skits and stuff that I showed you.
You did. I did see it.
You guys want to see?
Go and check it out. And but in a way that's also nice, because as someone who also a little drama geek, theater kid, and it does have that actor in them. I think once someone has an actor in them, it never fades.
Yeah,
I was
and
also a bit of a drama geek.
I love TikTok for that.
And you can you still have that. You can still let that, like you still be able to perform a little bit, and it's
and I
fun.
feel that, like, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, TikTok is like my self-expression,
Yeah.
I can like, like express like my little skits and stuff like that, and like
I
funny.
am an artiste.
Yes.
And I express myself that way. No, but an interesting thing that you touched on there, especially you talked about the algorithm, and then it kind of being on Instagram. I think one thing that people also do tend to forget a lot as well is that algorithm is audience.
Yes.
And that then is never truer than on Facebook, because audience, it's less of algorithm, it's audience. They're there. It's just a group of people that are there and that want to watch, that want to see what you're doing. And on Instagram, on YouTube, on even TikTok, maybe there is something there with like this mathematical idea of algorithm that you do have to try and understand. It's still audience based, but there is something that you have to try and...
I think also psychologically with Instagram, like, you're just swiping, right? Facebook, people like are, it's like a lot of people, well, I mean, it's clearly swiping through your phone. They use it as almost like information, like to read information or news.
Yeah.
So people get their news sometimes from Facebook, and people are reading and like, basically learning from it, so the platform works a little different, but nonetheless, like, you should be creating content, I think, like, for all the platforms. And even LinkedIn, like, it depends, like, if you want to get even booked or get a gig, or like LinkedIn is so overlooked
Yep.
these days,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
where you can put your professional services on there.
Not just a place for your CV, boys and
Yeah, it's not
girls, you
just for
know?
like your resume. Like there, like I see so much work on LinkedIn that I was like, oh my God, sometimes like it's too much work to like be able to like handle,
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, you can't spread yourself so thin.
Of course.
But yeah, on LinkedIn, there's so many opportunities. So people should be able to, like, if you are looking for work and looking to make money, it's there. You're just not looking in the right
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Another tip that you probably would have given if I hadn't maybe interrupted is having a an online product. Is
The
that
Paid
right?
Influencer
The Paid Influencer
Academy.
Academy. So tell us a little bit more about this.
So the Paid Influencer Academy basically is teaching you how to monetize your influence, because everyone is on social media these days. You guys are like, everyone posts something. You post a restaurant that you're at, you post hotels that you're
Yeah.
at, you post literally everything. And
Yeah.
I believe that everyone should be getting paid for their influence.
Yeah.
But it's really focused on the monetization aspect of being an influencer. And then I have like other little perks in there for
What some of might these little perks be?
so manifestation workshop, because like going back to my
Hey.
yes, going back to like that Emmy nomination, like that's just one example of my life of things that I have manifested. And before you can even become an influencer, I truly believe you have to have the mindset behind it. Like, so many people have the talent. I have met so many talented people in my life that never make it past their job, their 9 to 5, because they're scared to put themselves out there. They're scared to become an influencer, because it's like, oh my God, like it's they're scared to talk in front of the camera or scared to post a picture. So that I'm including that in there because it is crucial and it is important to get out of that mindset and start visualizing the person that you are already. If you guys can see it, it's not because it's something that you are going to become, it's something that you already are. It's within you. It's just like clearing the dust away to be able to make that person shine through. So that's why I decided to add that. And because it is a very important element to be able to put yourself out there and become an influencer and start becoming monetized or making money.
And there is something that is relatively meta, pardon the pun, but there is something that is relatively meta about the fact that, you are putting out an online product, which as an influencer or as a content creator, you should be doing I mean, like, we'd say probably like the two main best sources of income when you're content creating would be probably like your brand deals and having or selling an online product. So for you to have an online product, which is obviously a great way for you to then get additional revenue on yourself as a content creator, but more importantly, to be able to give value to others and help them do the same thing. So there is something that's like meta about it, which is quite nice.
Absolutely. I think that I always had a feeling that I was going to start teaching, and I had a feeling, I was like, I knew that time would come. I just didn't know exactly when.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity arose, and it was like the idea of creating an academy or a course for people to be able to learn, I was like, oh, finally it's coming to life. Because I truly, like, I've been in that space where I've shared it on my social media. I was working on television and I had a negative 105 bank account because I wasn't getting paid that much. I was working like crazy. Yeah, and people think like, oh my God,
Yeah, they do. They think there's big bucks there.
Yeah,
and
I
don't
mean, there
realize.
is, but not, like if you're doing like daytime television, or, not everyone is making that kind of money, and a lot of people are working very, very hard. But that's not just in that field. A lot of people work very hard every single day.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that people start to realize that you have the power in your hands.
Yeah.
Just don't let the mind get in the way.
Yeah. I mean, I had experience in working on sets in the UK where, it was working behind the camera, but you'd have producers sort of reach out and say, listen, we're really sorry, we're really short on budget. And then you get to the set and they realize that they've rented out the most expensive cameras to make this shoot.
Yes.
So like, oh yeah, budget seems really super tight. But they'll say things like, we'll bring you on for the next one, or like it'll be great exposure. And I'm like,
exactly. Oh my God, as Italians, I got that all the time. Like it's
great.
like, oh well, like, can you be the MC for this event. There's going to be like thousands of people. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the budget? And they're like, well, there
how
is
much am I
no
getting paid?
budget, but it's going to be such great exposure.
Such
And
great
I was like,
exposure.
and you know what? When you're first starting out, I bought into
You
that all the
do,
time.
you
I
do,
was
you
like,
do, you do.
oh my God, yeah, I have to go. I have
Yeah.
to do this. I have to be in this event. I have to
Yeah.
do this,
Yeah.
like music video or do this and that. And I did so much free work, but then
Yeah.
it comes to a point that it's like, what am I like?
Yeah,
I am a
you're like my rent doesn't cost 600 exposures. You know, I've got to pay.
yeah, like it cost me more to be on television than what I was getting paid. And I was like, it got to a point where I was like, this is like enough. And I'm glad the pandemic started because it like showed me that. But yeah, and when I was even working on television, I had no idea how to work with brands. I didn't know that I had like social media in my hands, and I didn't know I could work brand deals or collaborate. Basically collaboration is when you get a product in exchange for a post. I had no idea about that. Nobody taught me that. Like
No, I don't think anyone learned that until they realized it became a thing, and then they were like, "Well, I can actually start making money from teaching people that this is a thing, right?" So like,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
people discovering it as it goes along. TikTok as a platform has just come out, and it's everyone goes, "Oh no," but like that's, and now there's people that are making money on TikTok.
Right.
You got to jump on the trends.
Yes. Yeah. Or be able to catch them, like see.
Catch them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't think it's ever too late, because I definitely have seen a lot of people that have blown up in like a short period of time. But I think my number one thing is think of how you can be of service. Because when you are able to, whether, give entertainment or give advice or, or teach someone something, if your content or what you're putting out there is of service, whether you're inspiring someone with what you're writing or putting out there, you're more than likely to succeed if you can be of service.
Yeah. And as we know from one of our previous episodes, you are a family woman as well.
Yes.
And you do create content with your family under the Travel is Epic
Yes.
handle, which is amazing. But how do you balance it all out? How do you do content for as a family, and then also content as an individual, and keep growing your own channel and brand?
My husband is like my number one like he's my partner in life and everything.
Shout out to Al.
Yes.
Shout out to Al.
Yeah, literally, like that's the only way I can balance everything, because it's a lot. Because people think like, oh, 9 to 5, like you're working a normal job, right? Being an entrepreneur and being a content creator, there's, nonstop, because your brain is always thinking like, oh, what am I gonna do next? What am I doing? Like, let's create. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love creation, and I love new projects, and I love, putting all that. And yeah, and then we started Travel is Epic, which happened also very organically, but we slowly realized, and then going into the whole niche thing, that my followers didn't necessarily want to see family content. So, we were putting out, like I would post, like everything about my family and whatnot. And we slowly realized this needs its own space, like family content. It's its own brand,
Its own niche.
its own niche.
Yeah.
So we decided to create Travel is Epic. And I even did an Instagram for my son. That's mostly like an album, like, like his pictures or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so we divided it up. So I think it's super important to start thinking about your niche, especially if you have children, like if you want to see like where
silly fly there, sorry.
we're in Bali, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we have, our different pages for, our different audiences.
Yeah. Having a good support system there as well to help you out with
Yes.
the thing. It's very, very important.
Yes.
Sorry about the fly. Is there anything we can do about? We've got a fly on set. Apologies. And I think one of the things that we did talk about in that episode where we were with Al that joined us, you kind of mentioned as well, like not putting too much importance on that necessity to post something because you're posting something because you have to get it out. You're having to doing something that's a little bit more real, a little bit more authentic, and doing something because you love it rather than it being based on like a content schedule.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's important. It depends like what content you're trying to create, if you're a business and if you're trying to put your content out there, then, I think it's important to batch your content if you need something to be professional like that. But I think like if you're like creating family content, we do see as we grow as a family what works for us in terms of like the content we're creating, how we're posting it, what we're like, how, like all of that. I think that that's, important if you have especially children, to make sure that
Yeah.
it's going with the needs of your family. But if you're a business, I think it's a different story. I think if you're trying to grow your page as a business, or let's say you have I don't know, maybe like a spa or something like that, I think it's important to treat it as a business, because it's your,
Because
it is a business.
Treat it like a business.
Treat it like a business.
Like what it is. So a moment ago, you kind of mentioned the fact that you do have followers. Obviously, you got to kind of cater to them and understand that if they don't want to see your content that is your family related content, that there's a place
Yes.
for that. But for those followers that probably want, that probably want to see content that is more based around you, I created a little segment.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily a game, but it's a little segment that we're going to call Explain That Post. That's the jingle.
Love it.
So what we're going to do is show you a series of photos that you may have posted.
That I may have posted.
That you may have posted or have been tagged in.
Okay.
And we just want you to...
Oh, I mean, if it's the tagged pictures, a lot of them, I'm not even going to be in there.
We want you to explain that post. I don't think
Okay.
I've nailed the jingle that second
Okay.
time around. But just going to show you a post, picture. You might recognize it. Just let us know what's going on.
Okay.
Because we're kind of curious. We want to know what's going on in that post. Explain that
Okay.
post. Very easy. Explain that post.
Oh, so that was I'm pretty sure that was the Spotify commercial I was telling you about. So that's in my sister's closet, and we were recording the commercial because this was during the pandemic. Everything was closed and we needed to record the commercial.
Yeah.
And the best acoustics are inside of a closet with a lot of clothes. So it was basically like telling my whole family, guys, be quiet.
Yeah,
I'm recording a Spotify commercial.
Just goes to show, a Spotify commercial can be recorded at home.
Yes.
Yeah. If Evi can do it, you can too.
You can do it too.
You can do it too. That's great. So, Evi. Let's zoom that one in actually a little bit.
Evi. I feel like you sound like my mom.
Evi.
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 Evi. Explain that post.
Oh my
What's-
God. You guys did some like digging down.
What's going on over here?
So there I look very beautiful.
Yeah.
So that was for Nuestra Belleza Latina. That was a television show in Univision. It's like a pageant reality based show, and that was one of our challenges.
Yes, one of the challenges.
One of the challenges was to be a witch.
To be a witch.
And there,
Una bruja.
una bruja mala.
Una bruja mala.
And so I was playing. I was like a witch, and they, I really got into character, as you can see, and that was that challenge. I didn't win that challenge. I think I looked too scary, but I did play the part.
You did play the part.
Yeah.
You played the hell out of that part.
Yes.
Look at that.
It's a cool picture.
It is a cool
Looking at
picture.
it, yeah.
Evi, explain that post.
Airplane Dab. Oh, I like it like that. So that was from Nuestra Belleza Latina.
Oh,
So
it's the same one?
Yeah, so that's that TV show,
Nuestra
and it was
Belleza Latina. I love it.
yes, Nuestra. It's like my Latin beauty.
My Latin
That's
beauty.
how it translates
Yeah.
to. And so there I was on stage, and that was a challenge of reading the prompter, which normally would be very easy, but I got like egged. They were throwing like, I don't know, like whipped cream on me, like hitting my face like with a like rubber chicken or something. So
I can see a lot of silly string there as well.
yeah, silly. That's what it is.
The
I was
silly
like
string.
whipped cream. Yeah, they put whipped cream
Yeah,
too, and
yeah.
like ketchup and stuff. So that was from that TV show.
Obviously the photo before was like the result of the challenge.
Yes.
This one is live.
That was live.
This one's live.
Yeah.
Okay. Evi,
Maybe.
explain that boat. What's going on over here?
Oh, my husband did not like that picture.
It's a great thing that he's not here.
Right. So that was a what is that called? Like body paints?
Body paints, yeah.
Yeah, so I have this friend who's a photographer, and he's like, "Oh my God, Evi, let's do this like amazing idea." It was like
Also Spanish.
yes, also yes.
From the Dominican Republic.
No, he's not from the Dominican Republic. He is from
Because you did the Latin accent. So I
yeah,
assume.
just Latin accent.
Just Latin.
I forgot what country he's from, but he was always like giving me ideas to like do like I don't know some photography. So he got this artist, this body paint artist. I have underwear on and pasties.
And pasties, yeah.
And they painted that was the World Cup.
It does look like football.
It was
Yeah. Or
Soccer.
soccer.
Yeah, so
Soccer
that was
for our
that was
American
from
friends.
that was the a body paint.
Body paints. Did the ball get the same treatment, or is the ball as it comes?
No, that was a real. That was
That's
a real.
a real
That's a
football,
real ball.
not painted.
Yeah,
Okay, wonderful. I believe
we
this
don't
might.
paint balls around here.
I think this might be the last. Yeah, this one's the last one. I now that you've mentioned it all, I think this might be from Nuestra Belleza Latina. Evi, explain that both.
Let me see. No, that actually wasn't from Nuestra Belleza Latina.
Oh, there you go. Little
Oh my
surprise.
God!
Plot
Actually, I
twist.
don't. So that was on Acceso Total. That was the entertainment show that I used to host. And that day, is that a video or is that just a picture?
I'm not sure. I have a
I
feeling.
know it's a video.
I think there was a video that was posted, but
It's a video, but that's a screenshot.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. So that's a
Screenshot
screenshot
of the video.
So I think it was a movie premiere, and we were playing with the mustaches. I know that was live, and I know
Yeah.
that I was wearing. Why did I do that?
yeah.
I have no clue, but I was definitely. I think I was like rapping or something there.
Rapping in a mustache.
Play the video.
Play the video. No, I don't have the video.
No, we'll play.
Well,
I have.
roll the clip. Roll the
I have
clip.
Por esos chonas y pueden seguir las travesuras de boca usando la hashtag.
no idea.
Roll the
Maybe
clip.
I was
If you're
rapping.
rapping, and
I don't know.
but if you are, definitely roll the clip.
Maybe I was. I have no idea what the hell I was. I mean, I don't know.
Thank you for playing. Explain that both.
Explain that post. You should do
Explain
that
that
like
post.
just like that in every interview. Explain that
Explain that
post.
both. No, actually, I have seen photos of all with a mustache on your Travelers Epic channel, but I gotta say, I think you wear it better.
Oh, thank you.
Don't-
I actually
don't-
I shaved today, so I
Okay.
mean,
Don't tell him I told you that though, because the last time I saw him, I told him I really liked his mustache.
I won't.
Yeah, don't let him know. That's really great. Now, before we wrap up, I did want to ask you very quickly about. You're gonna have to correct me on the pronunciation of this. Vipassana?
Yes, Vipassana.
Vipassana, which is a 10-day silent retreat, and you did something of the sort. You documented it, but what was that experience like?
So Vipassana is a 10-day silent retreat. It comes from the Buddhist practice of basically remaining 10 days in silence without speaking, without even looking at anybody. And you basically meditate from like 5 a.m. to like 9 p.m. for 10 days. It was very challenging and very difficult, but I recommend everyone to start looking within themselves, because I think that all of the answers that people are looking for are right there. They're not in temples. People travel the world. And I can tell you that because I did. I traveled the whole entire world to look for answers that were within me the whole time. And Vipassana was a beautiful experience. I don't think it's for everyone, because I think that there's different meditative practices. We are modern society. Like, we are human beings, but we're not the same humans that used to meditate 1,000 years ago in some mountain, meditating in silence. We have a lot of stimulation with our phones. We have a lot of
Short-term attention span.
yes, very much. So the meditation practices that need to be put into place to be able to quiet the mind I think are more effective when you are able to use modern techniques, like incorporating the body to be able to silence the mind. So
Might be personal, so feel free not to answer, but what kind of answers did you find?
you mean like in Vipassana or in general? Because I spent most of my 20s
In meditation?
not in meditation, but like
doing
in the
practicing.
journey. Yes. So I would say that one of the most profound experiences for me was in Peru. So I spent some time with the shamans that are in Peru in ceremonies, and basically every single thing that I had read in scriptures or in holy books or learned from masters and gurus, I was able to experience that within myself, how we create our world, how the world is created through our thoughts, how we have the power to create or destroy. That's why it's so important, especially with social media, to be aware of the influence that you can have on someone else's life, because your words can impact somebody else's life. It can create their life, and it can also destroy their life. So I think we have such a powerful tool, but we have such a great responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
Yes. And being authentic is very important.
It's very, very deep answer. I kind of like low key thought that you were kind of going to give us a little answer that was like, make more content.
Make content, make content, make content, make money.
Make content, make money.
Actually, but that's why it's so important though. And that's why, like I said, going back to, like the Paid Influencer Academy, these practices are what helped me attract the life that I want to within my life.
Yeah.
But you do have to go within and start to see, because being positive and like, everyone's like, oh, the law of attraction, like I'm so positive and blah, blah, blah. Why aren't things happening?
Yeah.
You have to go within and see what's in your subconscious mind. See what are your limiting thoughts that are stopping you from actually making that into reality. Because if, let's say, oh, I want to start traveling the world, but within yourself, you're like, I can never make money. No one's ever going to hire me. No one's going to like my content. No one's going to like, if you believe that, that's going to be your reality. So I think creating that shift, going within, see like, where do those insecurities come from, and cut that cut it. It's not serving anybody. You need to start owning who you are. We're all different. You can't be taking social media as a tool of comparison. You need to start taking social media, like if you do look at someone who inspires you, inspire to be the best version of yourself. Use that as a tool for inspiration, not a tool for comparison for what you lack, but for what you can become or bigger.
Wise words to basically wrap this up. Evi, I cannot possibly thank you enough for having come back as well. That's a really, really,
from
really
so
appreciate
far away.
From so far away. At home, guys, check out Evi on social media. We're so grateful that you were here. Before you leave, I do want to give you one opportunity to say anything to anyone out there that might be following you or who might not be following you. Although you did everything you said before was so perfect.
Oh, thank you. No, guys, honestly, just put yourself out there. Don't let your limitations, don't let your mind be what stops you from being the best version of yourself, because you don't know who you are going to impact, like I said, and you don't know who is waiting for you to be that representation that they've been waiting for. So do it. So just
beautiful.
do it.
Wonderful. Evi, thank you so much.
Thank
Guys,
you.
join us next week with another episode or another show of Lost Creator Podcast. And if you're at home, have a drink with me.
I'm doing this new thing. You guys, little hearts.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Evi.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.